The Gallagher Shots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. It's a Sunday afternoon and it is the day after Newcastle United go down to Brighton, and we all know what happens when Newcastle travel to the Amex. I am your host Kris, joined by Ben and Iain this afternoon, and we're just going to dive straight into this one. I think after the international break, Ben, I think games can go either way. There's always a bit of a wild card in there with a result, and you're thinking maybe this is a time when Newcastle can break the curse at the Amex down at the south coast, but it just wasn't meant to be. And I think, Ben, what we're going to talk about, I think a lot of people probably look at that result and see it as a negative, which it is. It's not a good result, even though the record there is horrendous. No wins in Premier League against Brighton down at their ground. I think there's one in the Championship, maybe. Right, yeah. But our results down there have been horrendous. There's no denying that. And I don't want to use that as an excuse, because I've seen a lot of people online being like, oh, well, we'll never do well at Brighton. That's not the point. It would be different if it was like sort of a one-man sport and, I don't know, they're going to an event or a ground or of some sort of venue, and one person has that issue of getting a result at a ground. How many different players have been at this ground now? How many different teams, how many different managers have been there and can't get a result? So I'm not just saying, oh, we'll never do well at Brighton. It's a whole different team. There's new people who came in there. But having said that, Ben, there's a lot of people that didn't step up and perform as well as what we expect them to do now. And I think that's probably where we're going to start with. Team selection-wise, I think it's probably the strongest team that we could field right now, arguably, I would say, with the injuries that we have with fullbacks. Tino's missing, Hall's missing. So obviously Dan Burn comes in left back, Trips is there at right back. And I think everywhere else in the field, arguably one other position which we'll get down to, is probably a shoo-in at this moment in time. But players that need to step up, Ben. I'm going to start with one, and this might shock people. In fact, it probably won't, because it's not been great this season, is Joe Linton. I thought Joe Linton just let that game pass him by. And it's not the first time this season. I'm a huge fan of Joe Linton, but he's just not doing it for me right now.
No, he's not. Look, as you lads will probably testify, I'm a massive Joe Linton fan, and I stick up for him quite a bit, to be fair. And I still think he's an outstanding player, but this year he's not hitting the mark, to be honest. I don't think he's one of a few players that you look at the team and you go through the quality that we've got and the strengths and the things that you think about, and it's not really evident at the moment. The things that he's great at, like getting around the pitch and putting himself about, getting us up the pitch, carrying us forward. He just seems off the pace at the moment. Again, I'm probably sticking up for him a little bit. He just doesn't seem fit to me as well. I know Eddie Howe keeps talking about him not being fit, or he said he was worried about him a little bit going away with Brazil and then coming back and saying, like, is he fit? I don't know. We'll see how he is in the training session today. I think it's getting the point now for Joe Linton that he needs to probably be taken out of the team and get himself fit and get back to Joe Linton that we all know, and then go from there, really. It's not as if we don't have options now, because we do. You've got Ramsey. I'm sure we'll get onto it later on, but Miley came on yesterday. I thought he changed the game a little bit, to be honest. He was just so poor in possession. And I'll try and stick up for him all the time, but some of his passing yesterday was wayward, to say the least. And then you're not getting all the other things from him, to be fair, as well. It's not as if he was running around and winning the physical battles with Belabor and stuff, because he didn't. He was just a half yard or a yard off the pace. And they asked how after the game, like, did you take him off because he was injured, or was it because of a tactical thing? And he was like, no, it was tactical. So yeah, he obviously can see it himself as well. It's really interesting to see what he does going forward. Joelinton's been poor for Brazil as well. I think it's just, at the moment, he's just not in a good run of form. He's getting grief for his country, and he's just not hitting the mark for us. So, yeah, he didn't step up. He really didn't step up at all.
I think the best way to sum up not just Joelinton's performance, but a few of the others, which we will get through to Iain, is sluggish. It seemed like you could tell that a lot of these lads had been on long haul flights, and I know somebody will say, but it's a flight in luxury and stuff like that. I get that, but like your two Brazilian lads that had been Asia, I think it was, and they didn't get back until the Thursday. Then the traveling from Newcastle to Brighton on the Friday, so you're not really having much time to get settled before you're moving on again to an away fixture. If that had been a home fixture, I think it may have been different in regards to performances. But it's no excuse. Like it looks sluggish all around.
Yeah, I thought that even Tonali, who gets around the pitch like really, really easily, and he's quite athletic, I thought even he looked quite sluggish yesterday. The midfield three, I just think they were so flat positionally and just in terms of what they were offering in the game, that the midfield was just being bypassed, and that's ultimately what led to their 2 goals. But there's a couple of other players as well. If you want to mention, like the likes of Gordon, and I know he got a couple of penalties against USG, and then he got the goal against Barcelona as well. But he's not being the same player he was sort of a season and a half ago. And then on the other side, Alanga, I'm scratching my head to see what it is that's worth 55 million.
I want to come back to Alanga because I think it's a big talking point. Alanga. I'm going to stick with Gordon. Have you seen a more frustrating player in Anthony Gordon when he tries to take a player on and he loses the ball every single time?
Not that I can recall recently, and it's so. He's got the capability of doing it. Like we've seen it before, and when he plays with confidence, he's a completely different player. I don't know whether that's across the sort of the whole of the squad and the whole, like, I know obviously that the summer was a bit of a shit show, and you kind of think, right, well, we'll put that past where maybe it's a case of having to try and come up with like a new way of playing and players aren't really confident with that in their roles in that. I don't know, but I just think not even just yesterday, but the majority of the start of this season, bar spells in 1 or 2 games, we've looked very, very average. Your bigger players, the likes of Gordon, just not doing it. But yeah, there was a couple of instances yesterday where he was again. He's very, very predictable, I think, as well. He always tries to cut in on his right. There was, I think, the first 15 minutes, in fairness, when I thought we started the game quite well. And 2 of our better chances in terms of crosses coming from into the box was from Gordon going on the outside and swinging it in with his left.
Well, that's what he was doing well, Iain. He was doing well of hitting the ball and running onto the ball rather than trying to dribble with the ball like his feet and cutting inside. Every single time, if he was just hitting it, then he was just doing them for pace every single time. On the outside, like you said, and he was getting in those positions. But like you said, as the game goes on, Gordon gets ever so predictable where he just tries to shift it onto his right-hand side. And yes, he did get a couple of shots away by doing it. But I've lost count how many times he just literally ran into a player, just ran into him and got frustrated with himself to the point where by the time he had sorted himself out, they were already on the counter-attack. And we know how good Brighton are on the counter, especially in those midfield area. The through balls that just cut us in half every single time that they tried it. Gordon's just so slow to react, to get back involved.
Yeah, 100%. And that sort of leaves you a little bit short at the back. And like you say, going back to your point about sort of internationals and things like that, the 2 Brazilian lads, Tonali in the middle. And in fairness, like Brighton would have had players away, so there's not that much of an excuse. Yeah. But I just thought, particularly the midfield and the 2 wide men, just looked so lethargic yesterday. And like
Which is frustrating. Gordon's been away on the international team with England. He's had a fantastic couple of games. And you left, he comes back and plays for Newcastle, and you just left scratching your head, saying, like, what's happened?
Yeah, it's very, and again, I don't want to go into conspiracy theories and things like that, but it's very much like when he was playing out of his skin and then got linked with Liverpool and then his performances dropped. I don't know whether it's in his head, right? Well, I'm playing for England now. That's like the pinnacle. I might like my spot safe sort of thing. He's come back, and to be fair, it's not even this season. Like I said, if you look at last season compared to the season before's stats, his output on everything has just completely dropped off. And also, he needs to get a haircut, because that's the thing that most annoys us about him, is his stupid headband.
Hasn't he scored something? Isn't it like he scored one in? I might be a little bit off here. He scored an open play once in like 24, 25 games.
Something
It's
like
not
that.
good
Yeah.
enough, that, man.
So I think so far in the Premier League, our wingers are yet to register a goal or an assist. Then again, Murphy put in that ball for Volamora, didn't he?
Yeah, he crossed
That
him and
header.
scored the header.
Yeah, so he's got an assist, so maybe that's stats which I read yesterday is completely wrong, because I've just thought of one.
To be fair, it was a 4 wingers as well. I never thought I'd say this, but Jacob Murphy's head and shoulders above anyone at the club at the minute, and that in itself is a bit concerning.
So this was addressed on the match preview, which the lads did. Ben, is that position which I said at the very start, the only other position that would really have a question mark over is probably that right hand side of the field now, the right winger position. Your options which you've got there are Alanga or Jacob Murphy. And then the lads on the match preview, they nailed it, saying if you want decent balls into the box, it has to be Jacob Murphy that you start. It categorically just has to be him, because what we've seen so far from Alanga, and I need to try and stay positive in this situation with Alanga, because his career at Newcastle is very short at this moment in time. We've not had much of a window to see with Alanga, but what we have seen, I'm questioning this signing, because if you look back, and I know hindsight's a great thing, but if you ask Eddie Howe now, is he the player that you were expecting to sign in regards to performance-wise? He looks like a completely different player. It looks like we've had Langa's evil twin sent to us or something, because honestly, he's so frustrating to watch. And there's at one point, like, is he just a speed merchant? Is that what we have now? Is that all that he can do? Can he just run really fast? And yesterday, at some point, you ran that fast that you forgot the ball. At one point, you just left the ball behind him.
That was a 4-on-1 as well at one point, and then he goes back and gets them. That was the most frustrating thing I saw yesterday. Like,
I think what I'm trying to stay positive with Alanga. Like I said, it's so early on in his career at Newcastle that I don't want to throw him under the bus. Like, we've done it so many times with wingers where they don't hit the ground running, and we get unbelievably frustrated with them. But I'm questioning this signing now.
I think you've got to give him time. Like, look, I feel for him a little bit. Look, he was awful yesterday. Absolutely atrocious. Like, he really, really was. He was terrible, and there's no getting away from that. He hasn't all been bad, like, since he signed. I mean, it's easy to look back at, obviously, you have a recency bias, don't you, of the game that I've just seen. But you think of the Champions League games, I thought against Barca, he played really well. Anthony Gordon has to score that goal. He gets an assist there. And you put the other ball in for Harvey Barnes, I think. Harvey Barnes misses a sitter. Like, could have got two assists there. Absolutely tortured their fullback. Again, over in Belgium, he was excellent. He was man of the match. So it's not forgetting about that. He's a young lad as well. Like, but equally, I think Jacob Murphy, even people still talk about Murphy in a negative sense. Like, he was outstanding last year. He's 29, going on 30. He's in his peak. He's shown when he's come on this year. Like yesterday, gets the ball and he just puts quality in the box. And we're really lacking that, because we're not getting that from, and it might be a point we'll touch on later on, we're not getting that from our fullbacks. It's not as if you've got Trips now bombing on and getting you 10, 15 assists like he did a couple of years ago. He doesn't get past the halfway line now, really. I can't remember the last great ball he put in. And you're not getting that from Dan Burn. So, I don't know, like, we're missing Murphy when he's not playing. I think he's got to start now. I think if Murphy's fit, because I know there's the thing about his Achilles, isn't there? That's going around at the moment. He has to start. Like, he has to start. I think Alanga probably could do with coming out the team a little bit as well, because I think he probably feels there's a lot of negatives. He went away for Sweden. He hardly played. He was caught on camera slagging Thomason off. Like, it's just, I don't know, the kid's putting a bit of a negativity at the moment. I think probably taking him out of the team for a few games will do him the world of good. Maybe he's playing against
I think what you mentioned there, Ben, is something really to throw in the mix as well. The fact that our fullbacks, that the issues that we're having fullback position right now is probably hindering the likes of the they're attacking wide men as well to a certain extent as well, because you're not getting, like you mentioned, you're not getting those overlaps, especially we know how good Hall and Tino are at that as well. And you're getting, I'm going to say the complete opposite, but you know what Dan Burns, like he just disappears wherever, but it's not in a regimental way with Dan Burn. He just literally does whatever the hell he wants when he gets past that halfway line. But I think with the whole Elanga thing, maybe I'm jumping on a bit too early with performances, rather than looking at the bigger picture and saying that in regards to that fullback position, we're on the boards that we are also at the minute, which is obviously damaging his impact on a game as well. But having said that, I can't overlook certain moments in the game where it's got nothing to do with fullbacks and he's just not delivering.
No, his quality's hasn't been there, but his stats for us don't live up. But like I say, there's been a few moments where he could have had a few assists and probably should have had a few assists if people had to put the ball in the back of the net. And his final product for us has not been great. But you look at last year for Chris Wood, like the way they played, they got the ball out wide and they put crosses in. And I think, what did he get, 11 or 12 assists last year? So he can do it. He's just not doing it for us at the moment. And it's not as if the rest of the team's firing, so you can cope with that a little bit. People aren't. We're not playing well. Like, we're not. So you can't have it at the moment. So it's, and it just stands out like a sore thumb, doesn't it? We've waited for this right winger for, since Howe's been here, really. And we've all saw Elanga torture teams last year and we thought he's going to come in and tear teams apart. And it just hasn't really happened yet. And then you've got Murphy doing well. So I don't know, I feel for the lad a little bit. You've got to give him time. Look, we're not even into, like I say, we're in the middle of October. He's just signed. It's a totally different system he's playing. I'm not going to write him off yet. He's obviously got attributes. He's both-footed. He has got that pace. It's not working for him now, but that's not to say it won't. I mean, look at Murphy. Christ, it took Murphy years under Howe to settle in. And obviously he's flying now. So I don't think you can write Elanga off. But equally, I think it's fair to say he probably shouldn't be in the team at the moment if Jacob Murphy's fit.
Yeah, I agree. Anything to add, Iain?
No, I agree with that. To sort of put a defence across for the Elanga's case, like he was signed thinking that he's probably going to play alongside Isak in the sort of the sort of vision was slightly different to what we've got now. But overall, in terms of the play, like from a team sort of, I'd say maybe 2-3 seasons ago up until this point, you've seen what our identity was, and I feel because there's been some changes and to be fair, I mean, Voldemort is a completely different player to Isak, but he's been pretty magnificent. But it's we've had to change with style of play, and I don't feel like we've got an identity at this minute in time.
Agreed.
I think a lot of players are sort of in that mindset as well. Like yesterday, although I felt like we were sort of trying to press quite high up, it wasn't how sort of like regimented we used to be doing it, and they were passing like I keep coming back to it, but the 2 goals that were conceded, it was like one ball, just not even a ball. It was a sort of a drop of a shoulder, let the ball run across, and you took out the entire midfield. They're not blessed with pace. It just seems very, very. We seem quite predictable and easy to play against at the minute.
Well, I'll stick with you, Iain. That first goal, it's people are saying it's poor defending. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. It's not even a great pass. That you see these passes all the time. The issue is it's Botman. He's positioning just all over the shop, and there's Botman. Then you've got like Chow behind Welbeck, and you just got a free run between them, and there's nobody there. Nobody can challenge because Botman's obviously back to the striker. Chow can't get around because once Welbeck's took that touch, he's already through. It's a fantastic finish. It's a great finish to dink it over Pope. And you knew that it's going to be 50-year-old Danny Welbeck that was going to be making the headlines because it always is against Newcastle. Absolutely ridiculous, the stats against us and his goal scoring. But it was like watching kids play football. Like that's what it was with the defence. And I don't know, like you can understand to a certain extent that why Botman's taken that position, but I think you need to switch on quicker and think, hang on, I need to try and get in front of the player here. And I think what was really frustrating me is how well, and this is credit to Brighton, how well they are, Ben, at just drilling that ball, just absolute grass cutters, just straight across the field, direct to a player, hit at speed, hit with power. They've got it and they're away every single time. We just couldn't cope with that, like not once. And for our defense not to be to cope with an OAP is absolutely ridiculous. Like they've had how many times now to rectify this, and we just can't do it. Like I can't wait till the day that Danny Welbeck retires. He just can't score against Newcastle anymore because it's becoming an absolute joke now. Like
12 goals, I think he scored against it now. 12 goals.
Really?
It's mental when you think about it. I think, yeah. Do you know what it is?
And his name was ringing around the Stadium of Light yesterday as well. Did you see that?
Honestly, yeah.
One of the Southern reporters. What was
winning 2.5 goals?
Super Danny Welbeck. What was going around the Stadium of Light yesterday? Like mental.
Yeah, it sums him up. Do you know what it is? In the bigger picture, though, like right, poor yesterday. We could have got something. It wouldn't have been the, as I say, probably a draw. Maybe might have been fair. I don't know, but I think we won one game against the top like 10 teams, 10, 12 teams, and something like 25 games or something. The last one, we just don't win against top half teams. We're a bit of a bully. We'll go away and we'll beat all the crap like away from home. I can't remember the last time in the league that we went away to a Brighton or teams who are pushing around the European place and actually won a game. It seems that we just lose. I think Ian, you said it earlier on about identity and stuff. We'll go away from home against these top teams and we don't have an identity. We're just fold. Like, you know, and Brighton aren't Arsenal or whatever else, but I think we won one game against top 12 last year. I think the year before it was something similar. Like, we're records horrendous in these kind of games. We just don't turn up. We don't press. Like, we press as half-arsed. It's like we don't know what to do. It's like we're not all in. We're going to try and dominate them and play like we do at home and be on the front foot and push teams back. We just don't. I thought we were going to yesterday. The first 10 minutes, we're pressed. We look like we're going to take control of the game. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then we just stopped. Like, the intensity stopped. I think the players have got to start taking a bit of responsibility, to be honest, because like Howe talked about it after the game, like in possession we're poor and we just lost a bit, like that intensity and stuff. The players have got to step up. Brighton, I think, don't know, I was listening to Shearer or something after the game. I'm sure they ran like 6K more than what we did or something yesterday. Like, that players need to do more. We're not in a good position now. Like, we need to start going away at these games and winning something. Like, we didn't. At no point yesterday, even when we scored, did I think we're going to go and win the game? It's just, I don't know. It's a real problem at the moment for us. I
think that was our first away goal this season as well, wasn't it?
It was. And how many chances? Not as if you can think. It's mental. How many chances, when you look back at it, can you think over the course of this season that we've missed? We're not creating anything. Like, we had a couple yesterday, but you can probably count on one hand chances missed away from home this year. Like, that's poor. From the players that we've got, we should be doing better. It's just not good enough, to be honest. Away from home, away from St. James's Park, yeah, we need to do a lot more.
There's a couple of talking points, and this is something which hasn't really been highlighted, and it was in the moment in our WhatsApp group, but I've not heard too much said about it afterwards, is the penalty appeal that we had, Ian. I think it was shout straight away, and the commentators, I can't remember what I was watching it on. I think it was Peacock, maybe. That was so the American channel that I was watching it on. And the commentators were saying, well, they've recently looked at the rule and they've changed it now where they will look at it to see if it's accidental handball. And if it's accidental, then it's not going to be given as a penalty. But how many times do you see a player deliberately handball it? It's not very often you see a player physically reach out to handball it, or in that position he's almost out away from him, and that's a penalty to me. And I was really, really confident that once VAR looked at it, they were going to send the referee to the monitor. And you can always tell by after a minute past where the ref positions himself as to what the decision's going to be. And as I seen him walk with his back towards the centre of the field, I thought, well, this isn't going to get given straight away. And I couldn't figure it out. I'm not sure what your thoughts were on it.
No, I mean, watching it as it happened, you obviously from the angle of the TV camera, you couldn't really say anything. And then it went to the replay because
players' reaction's a big thing.
Massive. And obviously it was our fans were behind that goal, so the roar from the fans, like you thought, oh, is that just being sort of like optimistic? But when you look at it, I think I was watching it on Opta Sport or something like that, and the commentator was like, "Oh yeah, his hand's in a natural position. His hand was extended out from him, so
It's in front of him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and whether he's deliberately done it or not, the touch of the ball with his hand has took it away from Botman or whoever else was running onto it. So I was quite surprised that VAR didn't even said, because granted the referee probably wasn't in a great position to see it, so you're not blaming him in that because it does happen quite quickly. But when you're looking at the replays, and if you think what handballs have been, I think it was James Tarkowski, maybe it's the first game of the season where his arm's practically behind his back and he sort of turns, that's given as a handball, and he's literally making his body as small as possible. And it just goes back to the whole, there's zero consistency in refereeing, in the laws. I thought it was a penalty. Obviously, at the time it didn't matter because then Voldemort scores possibly the best goal that's ever been scored since Modiane at the Amex. But yeah, I thought it was a strong shout for a pen. I'm quite surprised that more hasn't been made of it.
Yeah, that's I thought it would have been all over social media, but I've barely seen it, to be fair. Ben, we're going to have to be talking about the best moment of the game, the best moment of the season, probably. In fact, the best moment of the last 10 years. Big Nick Voldemort's cheeky little flick back heel, whatever the hell you want to call it. What a finish that is. He done similar away in Belgium, didn't he, where he tried that flick, but not with much assertion in there. With this one, he meant that, and the power that he's got in that flick on back heel, like I said, whatever you want to refer to it as, he gets some power in that, and I saw that go in, and honestly, I nearly took the roof off the house because, it's probably one of the best goals I have ever seen.
He's class. Big Nick, it was an amazing flick, wasn't it, as well? He just twice he's done it. You kind of see he didn't mean that because he definitely did. I feel for him at the moment because he's scoring all these goals. It's mental. He's the quality as well. I think he's class. I think he really, really is class. What a footballer he is. His first touch is brilliant. He holds the ball up really well. But I was never expecting that. When you could see the way he positioned his body as well. He just let the ball roll across him and then hit with a flick. Van Hecker, I think, was marking him. He never thought he was going to do that in a million years. He probably thought, why is he not going towards the ball and trying to get it, control it? Miley plays it into him, and then he just does that. And it wasn't as if he drilled it in either. He put all the pace on the flick himself. Class, different class. His quality, really, really good. He's scoring goals left, right, and centre for it, to be fair. But you're ruminating every time.
What's really great about him now, Ben, as a signing is his confidence. Yes, we're not getting the results, but his confidence is growing higher and higher. And we spoke earlier about players hitting the ground running. He's done exactly that. We were all really concerned about losing Isaac and where the goal's going to come from. If you give him chances, he's going to put the ball in the back of the net for you. Of course he is. He's had very few chances so far this season. Yeah. It seems like probably 90% of them have found the back of the net, and he's got a goal from them, whether that be headers or obviously that unbelievable penalty. Yeah, he outdoes it this week as well, this weekend, with that flick against Brighton, and you're just thinking, you are some player because I know those question marks over the price tag, and a Bayern Munich manager still going on about it. Not manager, just whatever he is. Sporting director or whatever. Just saying, Newcastle are idiots for spending all that money on him. But we do not look like idiots now, because he is literally the best.
It's class. The thing is, he scored, like you say, he's not missing chances, and we're not firing as a team. Can you imagine? He's finishing. He's a lot better finisher than Isaac. A lot better finisher than Isaac. If the wingers pull the finger out and the team generally starts actually creating stuff for him, God, he'd score any amount. He really, really could, because he's scoring goals that aren't even half chances, really. He's just creating things out of absolutely nothing. So if we can put stuff on a plate for him, he'll get with goals. I think my worry at the start of the season, if you'd have said to me, Voldemort comes in, head of Isaac, and he scored the goals that he has, I'd expect that would have been in the top four. I'd have thought it would have been flying. Because that was my worry, who's going to score the goals up front? Especially when Wissa got injured, we all thought, that's we're knackered. And he's come in. He probably wouldn't have started if Woods had been there. He'd have probably been eased in. Probably the best thing that happened to him. And he's burying them in now. Like, he's top draw. Just the rest of the team's not really pulling for him, really. So, no, he's different class. Quality footballer. His attitude's class as well. Like, he just seems like a really cool, like, laid-back guy. It doesn't seem that much really pisses him off. He's just takes everything in his stride. Super confident in his ability.
Having said that, Ben, he was getting a little bit frustrated towards the end of the game that you had a bit of a Barney with one of their players. I can't remember who it was, but I think he went up for a header and the player just chucked himself to the ground and like Volomano's got like.
Oh, it was Van Hecker. He was doing that.
Game. The issue is that size is going to go against Big Nick when these sort of aerial battles come up, because similar to Dan Burn, we've seen it for so many seasons now. Like as soon as that player goes down, the referee just didn't see things, well, you just overpowered them, you just pushed them out, or whatever you've done. When it's categorically not the case. Dan Burn done it with Minty at some point, and he barely touched them, and Dan Burn's booting off at this point as well. And you can see why these players get frustrated, because it's ridiculous that the free kick goes to the smaller player with less height. It's ridiculous. But what I've seen from him in the last couple of days, Ian, is he's got a bit of an inner shithouse here, ready to burst out. He's trying his hardest to contain this under wraps, but he's going to turn into the Hulk soon, and he's going to flip at some point. I can see it coming. I can just read it a mile off.
As much as like Ben was saying, he seems like a really sort of cool, collected forward. You can see that he's got a bit of fire in as well, especially if things are going against him. He's not afraid to sort of put himself about, and whether that's verbally or physically. But I agree with Ben. I feel so sorry for him, because he's living off scraps effectively at the minute, but his conversion's phenomenal. And if you think of the big strikers that were sort of that moved around in the summer, you had Gyökeres, Sesko. I think I might be wrong, but I'm sure he's outscored all of them already.
Ian, you're seeing these stats put on social media and wherever, left, right, and centre, and his name's not even featured in them. Like, are they purposely not featuring his name in these stats just to make everybody else look a little bit better? Because obviously the whole tinfoil hat Newcastle United thing.
But like Ben was saying, if we can actually provide him with chances, he'll easily double his tally that he's got, because he's literally living off scraps. And like you say, he's scoring different kinds of goals. His penalty the other week was fantastic. And what I liked about this flick is you can tell. So his flick against USG was quite instinctive, but you could see that that's what he was trying to do. Where this one,
he took a chance, didn't he?
Yeah, this one, you can see that that's what he's planned in his head, to let the ball run across and flick it in. Because I don't even think the keeper's expecting that as well. Because I think if the keeper anticipates that, I feel like he saves it. But he doesn't get across his line. He's not expecting it, and then he has to dive for it sort of last minute, and it goes right in the corner. But I was a little bit the opposite of Ben. I thought, although we didn't look like we're controlling the game, we're definitely putting them under pressure, but I feel it was more sort of like snatching at chances rather than like deliberate. I felt like because we had scored the goal late on, the backs were up against the wall for the majority of the first half. I thought, we'll galvanise here and we'll go on and score the winner. And then a 65-year-old Danny Welbeck, just what annoyed me from the whole thing.
I love it as he's getting older as this
what annoyed me was, I think it was Aori who had been playing all match, just ghosts past Harvey Barnes and Jacob Ramsey, who had been on for like half an hour. They just let him run off. Dan Burns then got to commit. The midfield three are absolutely nowhere to be seen, and then it's a decent finish. But it was just so typical Newcastle that you sort of got yourself back in the game and then just completely switch off.
Yeah. It was frustrating. It really was, because, like I said, when we got the equaliser, we had a great chance. The couple of chances, didn't we? Then we had a chance. I think it was Bruno that took the shot, maybe, and it was a deflection which hit it over the bar. There was a couple of, it was like a scramble in the box. There was a couple of things like that. And I thought if there was one team that was going to go on and win it at that point, I thought it's probably going to be us. I was really confident that we were going to nick it at the end. And if we had walked away there with 1 point, I'd probably be scratching my head thinking, have we deserved this? especially after that first half performance, because we were diabolical, absolutely shocking in that first half. And Ben, when was the last time you remember Newcastle putting in 2 decent performances in either half? It just doesn't happen. You either have a good first half or a good second half. You just don't have the same.
Honestly, probably the last time I think we did was probably the cup final. Honestly, it seems like that far away. Like, we've actually played for 2 halves of football where we were excellent.
Just on it.
Maybe it's against a top team. Look, you can see the Champions League where we played well the other day, but it's a hard one to judge, isn't it, how good they actually are?
Yeah.
Another worry, like, what you're pointing at there is that the 3rd goal that we've conceded in the 80th minute plus this year? We've only
it's not been great.
A lot of goals, like
Brighton.
like a lot of goals. Why is that? Is it fitness? Is it, I don't know, it's just lack of concentration? But you kind of, like Iain was saying, like, he ran past Ramsey and he runs past Barnes, who would come on, so they kind of be tired. It's just a lack of commitment, and times like players are switching off. We're not 2 halves of football. Even against Forest the other week, I thought we're pretty poor the first half. Come on, the second half, we're excellent. We just don't put 90 minutes together at the moment. Players are a bit like that. Decent first half, and they drop off or whatever. Players just aren't really putting your full 90-minute performances in. The only ones really
which is why your squad rotation is crucial. Like, it's crucial, especially when we've got a Champions League coming up in a couple of days' time as well on Tuesday night. So its rotation is huge. It's critical, really. Which, when I thought Miley came on, who was it? Miley and who else came on?
Miley and Murphy.
Murphy, yes. So when those 2 came on, you think, right, they've done well. I think you can look at those 2 and think, right, you've done well when they came on. Murphy more so than Miley, I would say. Now that Ramsey's back, there's an additional body that we can use in multiple positions across midfield and attack. So that's going to be good. I think he done all right when he came on, apart from that moment where we conceded, where him and Barnes should do a hell of a lot better. Barnes, I've still got question marks over Barnes. I always have done. Like, I know what Barnes can do. I know he can score goals, but I still have a huge question mark over him because he's never consistent. He's never ever been consistent, and that's before we even sign him. I remember when we signed him from Leicester, I did a podcast with a Leicester fan and said the same. Like, he'll have a couple of good games, then he'll just go missing for 7 or 8, then he'll come back, and it's just a vicious circle that goes around and around. But I think if we're looking at the Premier League table now, and I know we're probably close to hitting a quarter of the season now, is it?
Quarter of the way through.
I would have been wanting more points at this point in the season. Now, I'm not sure, and people might shout at us for this comment. I'm not sure if I'm also looking at the likes of our rivals as well to see how well they're doing in the Premier League, which is also having a bit of an impact on the way I'm looking at the league positions as well, and thinking, oh, fuck's sake, like Newcastle go win, you go, fuck me, they've done it again. And you're seeing their point. And what you mentioned, Ben, is we've got Derby coming up in X amount of weeks' time. Newcastle United are conceding a lot of late goals. Sunderland are scoring a lot of late goals, which I'm shitting my pants at. And I know it's one of those things, but that Derby, it's something which we don't even need to think about just yet. But if we're looking at the league position, I wouldn't say I'm worried, because once again, we're just a quarter of the way through the season, and all of the issues that we had in the summer, at the start of the season, Gordon getting sent off as he was your striker, missing 3 games. Voldemort comes in, and yes, he's scoring goals, but he seems to be the only one that's scoring goals. I think Wissa's injury as well hasn't helped situation as well, which he's due back in the next couple of weeks, I think. Those rumours that could have possibly be on the bench.
He's on the graph now, so
yeah. So hopefully we will see things change, but I'm far from confident, Iain. Like, I'm far from confident that we'll see it instantly change. I think it's going to be a long all season. I think we're going to see games where we will put in good performances, we'll score good goals, we'll think the team have clicked, then we'll go back to what we're seeing at the moment, these issues that we're having at the moment. And I don't want to be too downbeat on it, because I think we've been blessed with the season so far since the takeover. Like, even though we've had that one season where we're hit with injuries, we're still plodded along and still managed to do well. This one, once again, you can look at the summer and blame the summer and everything which happened in regards to that rat leave. But I think we should probably be seeing signs now as to what the team looks like, what our identity is now. And I'm not really seeing it. That's my concern.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you say, since the takeover, I've never really found myself in a difficult position. Obviously, the first half season where we're sort of tipped to get relegated, that was difficult. But from then on, we've pretty much had an easy ride. Obviously, even with those injuries, like you say, we're still putting in a good showing. I just feel at the moment we're not. If we are serious about being top 4 team, competing for Champions League places every season, and this is no disrespect to Brighton, because Brighton are a very, very decent side, but they're the team. If you are serious about looking to get as a cemented top 4 team, you need to be overcoming teams like Brighton. You need to be picking up points against that. Teams like Bournemouth, who, again, another team would notoriously struggle away from home. I just feel at the moment we're not performing like a top 8 side, and that does concern us a little bit. And I do feel that was probably 7 or 8 teams a hell of a long way away from where we are in terms of how well they've developed this season. That being said, I think I said it when the fixtures came out. The first 8 games we had were tough games.
Great. Yeah, they were tough.
Villa away, we're hitting missy there. Then Liverpool, first game of the season. We've had Arsenal to play, who should be in sort of a race for the championship. Brighton will always struggle away to Bournemouth. We do.
Bournemouth are doing well this season as well.
But again, like teams have improved, and I think we've dropped off a little bit, which isn't a great recipe. There's still a lot of football to be played, so I am hanging on to that. But I am starting to worry a little bit whether, because we've just sort of like stalled so many times and we haven't really got going, whether we're going to be cut adrift from getting Champions League at this stage. Might not be the case. You might speak to us in 4 or 5 games time and it might have clicked by then. We'll always seem to go on a run where we'll just win like 7, 8, 9 games
just up like
in a
Christmas
row.
Normally.
Yeah. So I think the next few fixtures, I think we've got Fulham, West Ham, Brentford maybe in the Premier League.
That's right, yeah.
You should, in my opinion, you should be looking at getting 9 points out of those games.
I agree.
And then hopefully that'll kick. But again, with that comes, you've got Champions League games dotted in and Carabao Cup games dotted in and about there. So it's going to be, like you say, a long, long, tricky season.
Ben, any final words?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be positive in a little way. Like Ian just pointed out, we've got 3 games coming up in the league that are winnable. And the games that last season we went and won. This is the best Newcastle squad we've had probably ever in the Premier. Well, since Sir Bobby Robson's time, really. Like numbers wise, depth wise, every game this season. If you look back at every game, we've been poor this year. We could have won. I know could have, would have, should have, but we could have won every game this year. We could have got something out of Arsenal last minute, Liverpool. You go through, it's been really small margins, like really, really small margins. We've got players coming back. Whistler's going to come back. Ramsey's back now. We've got 2 centre-halves that have been flying. Lewis Hall's only a few weeks away, they reckon. I'm still confident coming the end of the season, probably more positive than you lads are saying there. I think we'll be in and around the top 5. Football can change quite quickly. The way the league is this year, the lower teams, your Palaces, your Bournemouths, they're all picking up points against the top teams. If we win them next 3 games, which I think I'm not saying we're going to, but I'm confident we could, we'll probably find ourselves 5th or 6th. And the season then all of a sudden looks very, very different. There's a lot of football we played. We're not miles off. We're not clicking at the moment, but we could have got a result yesterday. Like, we didn't, but we're not. It's not as if we're getting bad in games, because we're not. Like, we're conceding late goals. We're just missing out at the end. We're not firing. Probably 4 or 5 of our players are playing well. I'm confident that Howe will turn it around and then players will start clicking. You know, like Gordon can't be as bad as he's been at the start of the season. He's flying for England. He'll start picking up. Alanga, Murphy, the wingers will start playing a little bit better. We'll get players back. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but it needs to change now. Like, we can't not win on Saturday. We really need to win that game. We're in bother. Then we are in bother. You need to go away and win the away game. I haven't won one this season. West Ham aren't great. You need to go and win that. But it's woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, we'll see, won't we? But I don't think it's all negative. I think there's a lot of points to be played for. We're not cut adrift. Like, as I say, we just need to be positive, support the players and the manager, really. It's no point of hammering people, and then trust Howe and trust the process that will come out of it. better than what we are at the moment.
Well, I think that's something which the fan base, once you're in the ground, that's exactly what you're going to get from us as a fan base. You're going to get that support that the lads need in difficult moments, and that's exactly where we are right now. There's no hiding behind anything. We're in a difficult position. We're waiting for that momentum to start carrying through. We're waiting for something to click within the team. I think we're seeing glimpses, like Ben said. We are seeing glimpses of a good team. Even yesterday, despite it being a defeat, there were certain moments where as a team we were playing well and passing the ball really well. And that probably comes down to, once again, I think it comes down to Voldemort dropping into that number 10 role and linking up play around him as well. He was doing it so often again. I think we're going to see more of that. And I'm really optimistic to see what sort of possible partnership we could see with possibly Ramsey being in that team as well as a starting 11. And obviously with the option of Wissa coming from the bench or starting or even playing alongside Voldemort. I can't wait to see what we can do with that. And it just goes full circle what I said at the very start of that. You can't underestimate how important it is to have your two fullbacks. When you're missing one of them, it's hard enough. When you're missing two, it's horrible. It's a really horrible position because it just completely changes the way you go into games. And like we said, that we seem to be lacking that high press. And I think your high press starts from obviously up top, but which you're getting from Voldemort. But as soon as you get to where we are at the moment with Trips and Dan Burn, you're just not seeing that full movement up the field from everybody else. Because you'll just see big gaps because they just don't have the legs to get back into those positions when needs be. And I think hopefully when we do have a fully fit squad, if we ever get a fully fit squad, I think we will see a very, very good Newcastle United side. And I agree with Ben saying it probably is the best team which I've seen on paper. And fingers crossed it clicks sooner rather than later, because I would hate to be in this position halfway through the season and still saying it'll click. Something will click. And blaming likes of injuries and then everything which went on in the summer. That excuse is slowly has to fade away now. We can't keep on coming back and saying all the issues that we had in the summer, blah, blah, blah. You've replaced the striker and your new striker scoring goals. We're waiting for the rest of the team now to catch up. That's what we're waiting for. But I like the optimism, Ben. I'm glad we ended it on a positive because it's like nobody was happy with that result yesterday, despite obviously it being Brighton and we all predicted it. We knew exactly what was going to happen. 70-year-old Danny Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck.
But yeah, it's one of those things. You just have to move on. A huge game coming up on Tuesday night as well. So we'll just move straight into that one. Then obviously one eye on the Premier League as well, where we need to get points on the board. Not just one. We need 3 points. We need to start catching up. And catching up quickly as well. But thanks, boys. I would say it's been a pleasure, but it's a pleasure talking to you. Not necessarily about the result. But yeah, thanks everybody who has watched this one as well or listened back. If you are listening, there should be an option where you can rate the podcast as well. Not just this one; it's a podcast as a whole. So I think it's out with 5 stars. I think you can do as well. So leave with 5 stars on that one, and it will ask you to leave a little review as well. So always thankful for those. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, just like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to do that. If you do like this sort of content, if you want extra content, you would have seen a QR code go across the screen a few times throughout this one. That basically makes you become a member. It starts from just $2.99 a month. You get extra content. You get early access to content as well, along with access to that Telegram group. Over the last week, I think we've put an extra 2 shows or 3 shows that have gone out to members as well. Some of them are still there for members only as well. We'll look at other things apart from football, which has gone down pretty well as well. But yeah, thanks. We'll see you next time. What you doing? Ta-ra.